I'm a single guy, and
ladies love Larry.
I'm a single guy, and
The ladies.
There are a lot of ladies who are looking at the church because women, the church it's like a vacuum. They go there with their vacuum cleaner to see how many men they can suck up.
Wow. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Pillow Talk. I am your host, Taisha, and I have my lovely, handsome co-host.
What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's ready for this one. Episode number 3.
EP3.
EP3. And this episode is kind of special to us because this talks about how we met. The meeting of two minds you guys get to know for yourselves. Don't ask no questions anymore. We don't want to hear about anything about you asking us how we met because we're going to put it out here on the internet, YouTube. Everybody on YouTube is going to know now how we met. So the question is really my wife. How do you feel about talking about how we met?
I'm cool with it. It's a very interesting story.
Very interesting story, to say the least. Where you want to start?
You tell me.
At the beginning. I mean, that's the only place you can start.
That's the only way we can start is at the beginning.
At the beginning. All right, here we go. So what happened at the beginning? I want to hear your side of the story. This is what I want to do.
Well, my beginning is different from your beginning.
That's the whole reason why everybody else wants to hear this beginning, because you got two different beginnings and then there's the truth. So we're going to figure out what.
And then there's the truth. All right. So my beginning is I am sitting at my desk.
You got to tell about where you work. You can't be just like at your desk. At your desk where?
Okay. Well, we putting it all out.
This is what this is all about.
All right. Here we go. So I used to work for Intercontinental Hotels Group in Atlanta. And one day I was sitting at my desk. You'll find out what that date was later on. Sitting at my desk, minding my business, typing on my computer, working very hard. Then this guy comes up behind me and says, "Hello." That guy would be you, Mr. Nicholas. And I turn around and I say, "Hello." He's like, "Yeah, so I hear that you are from the Bronx."
That's right.
And I'm like, "Yes." I said, "So what school did you go to?" Well, let me be specific. I said, "What high school did you go to?"
And that's because you're from the Bronx. High schools matter. It matters. Bump colleges. We got CUNY and SUNY in New York, but that doesn't even matter. High schools make the differences in where you live and the quality of education you get.
Facts. So anyway, he says, "I went to Evander Childs High School."
That's right, baby.
Evander?
Remember that?
Yeah. So he says, "Well, where did you go?" And I was like, "I went to Truman High School. Truman Mustangs, please stand up." Anyway, so that kicked off the conversation. Of course, as a young lady, I know we are very observant. So I did give him a good look. And I went from down to up. Why do you think I did that?
I don't know. You were looking at my feet.
Normally, when you look at a person, you look at them up and down. But I looked down and up.
Okay.
I just kind of wanted to see what he had going on, from his shoes all the way up to his haircut, which was very nice, by the way. He was very well groomed, I must say.
That's right.
And I remember exactly what he had on. He had on some tan, kind of like suede-ish pants and a shirt that was the same color as his pants with white stripes, and he had black shoes on. I think they were like patent leather. I don't know if they were patent leather.
Patent leather, man.
I don't know. They were kind of wax leather. I don't know. They were nice. They were nice, just leather shoes, but they look kind of shiny, like he shined his shoes.
The shoes shine. Come on now.
And he had a nice low haircut. He was looking good, y'all. He was looking good.
I tried. Okay.
So that's my story. I know his story, and I want to give a shout out to Sandy, because Miss Sandy Jourdain, because she hooked us up.
Okay. I mean, she introduced us.
She hooked us up.
I don't know about all the hooking part. Sandy, you cool though. You cool. All right, so you want me to give my side? You don't your side of the story?
I mean, that was the beginning from my side. Yours started off a little bit different because you had to get to me. So how did you even know to come and to talk to me?
All right, so let me just put it like this. So I started working at Intercontinental Hotels Group, IHG, to keep it short. And I was I was to myself, minding my business, doing my own thing. I wasn't, really checking on nobody because I had just started there not too long ago. I think I was about there for about a month because we met in February. I started there in January of that year in 2007, right? Now, the thing about it is, just to give you guys a little background data, Taisha and I are from the same neighborhood in the Bronx.
Yep.
Okay, but we never
met.
We never, look.
We had the same circle of friends.
We have the same circle of friends in the Bronx, on the block. And for anybody who knows what I'm talking about, DeKalb Avenue, running down with me from Gun Hill Road. She's in Decatur, I'm DeKalb Avenue. So I'm over there by the number 4 train. She's over there by Webster Avenue.
Yes.
All right? So that whole strip going up and down Gun Hill, come on, man. I ran that area every single day. Now, when I say ran, I'm not talking about just physically ran. I'm talking about that was my stomping grounds every single day. I walked up and down that place. I know everybody around that area. She knows everybody around that area. My boy Jancy, if you ever look at this Jancy, you know what I'm talking about. You were my barber back in that day, and she used to come and get her hair done
with Tina, who owned the shop.
Who owned the shop that Jancy cut hair in. So I don't know if she walked in there with finger waves that day, because that was what it was back.
Finger waves and pin curls.
Right, and then they had the little
little French roll.
Yeah, exactly. So they used to come up in there and get their hair did a lot of times. So we could have. I used to hang out at the barbershop. That was brothers be hang out at the barbershop. We used to just chill, talk, whatever. So she could have come up. She could have come up in there at any given time. And I could have been in there any given time. It's just that we did not know each other like that. Okay, the Oval Park where I used to play ball, she used to come out there and hang out a lot too. So we could have ran into each other at any given time.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, from the same neighborhood, had the same friends, the same circle of friends, you and I met in Georgia. In Georgia, of all places, in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
At work. And how it happened for me was that one day I decided to take about a 15-minute break from my desk. I walked around and I went down to the
20th floor is where all the employees got a chance to sit down and hang out.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was where the cafeteria was, whatever have you. Now, I think
that was just a lounge area where everybody could go and just chill.
Lounge area. So I'm sitting there by myself chilling. Now, Sandy Jourdain, who you just mentioned, walks in and she puts down her little snack box or whatever, and she starts to take her break or whatever. So she strikes up a conversation with me like, are you new here? Da, 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 da. So I'm saying, yeah, we're talking, blah, blah, blah. And she looks at me, she's like, you look very familiar. And I'm like, you look familiar too, but I just can't pinpoint where I know you from. Okay, so we're still just chopping it up, and she's like, "Are you from New York?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm from New York." She was like, "Where in New York?" I said, "In the Bronx." And she was like, "You used to live in Brooklyn? Because you look like you're from Brooklyn." I said, "Nah, but I did used to live in Brooklyn. As a matter of fact, I used to sing with a group called New Creation, and that's what sparked it." She was like, "Boom, New Creation, like." with, she named some names, and I was like, yes. Do you know them? She was like, yeah, they're from my church. I'm Haitian. They're from my Haitian church. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden, she started naming names, and I was like, yes, I know that person, played ball with that person, blah, 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 blah. So she started pulling out pictures, and I'm like, yo, I know this whole crew. So we got to, in that moment, it was like, oh, snap. Like, we're New Yorkers, we know each other, and I felt really cool about that. Then we left, and I get a phone call from Sandy when I got to my desk. Like, hey, I want you to come over. Come over to my desk. I want you to meet somebody. So I'm like, okay. And no, matter of fact, she told me about Taisha when we were sitting down. She said, I have a friend from the Bronx. And that's how I knew you was from the Bronx. Because she said, I have a friend from the Bronx. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Because she's like, I got another New Yorker for you. And I was like, who's that? She's like, a friend from the Bronx. So I was like, oh, snap. So I got my friends from Brooklyn now. I got somebody I can hang out. They know some people that I know, Jubert and all those guys. And she was like, yeah. So I was like, for real, we going to be hanging out. Now, that's when she called me and says, I got a friend for you to meet. She calls me and she's like, she's my desk mate or whatever have you, suite mate, she's around the same area. So I come over and I see Taisha and I'm like, oh, well, all right.
What do you mean? First of all, my back is turned.
She always says her back was turned. Now, where her desk was sitting, her whole side profile I can see. So she's sitting up there and she's typing away and whatnot. So
notice I had a straight back. He's demonstrating the truth.
Well, yeah, she sat up straight. She did. I ain't gonna.
I still sit up straight too.
Her posture was a tight posture. That's what really caught my attention was her posture. Say, all right. No. That's what caught my posture. That's what caught my attention was her posture. So she said she looked me up.
Wow.
Down. She looked me down and up, right? That's what she said, right? That's what you said.
Down and up.
I did the exact same thing. Now, what caught my attention, she says to me, she had closed-toe shoes. She had this a type of shoe, a type of stiletto that had these open, her toes was inside, but you can see, the outline of the toes. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of important for a black man.
Okay.
I mean, look, I learned that from Boomerang. So anyway, I looked at her feet first, and I was just like, oh, okay. Now, in my book, any woman that takes care of her feet takes care of the rest of her body. So
Amen.
That's my religion. That's my gospel right there. When I look at a woman, I look at her feet first and make sure she takes care of her body. So I'm like, all right, her feet looks good. And I looked at the rest of it. I said, okay. And then I looked at her teeth, and like, I hear you're from the Bronx. So that way I can see her teeth and everything. I was like, all right, then she's straight. So wow. Sandy over there, had a greased monkey smile, like I'm trying to see if I can set them up and whatever have you. And she's like, yeah, I'm from the Bronx. And she had that little, that New York attitude.
A little sass.
Right.
Just a tad bit.
Yeah, she had the New York attitude. The whole, neck rolling thing. Yeah, I'm from the Bronx. So I was like, yo, so what high school you went to? She was like, Truman. I said, Truman? Truman, man. Bump Truman. It's exactly what I said, because I bump Truman. I go to Evander.
I'm just saying, if you do some fact checks on both of those schools around 1993 through 95, you'll understand why the Truman Mustangs are the bomb. It doesn't matter. Just look at the reputations of the school. Thank you very much.
I left in 92, matter of fact,
Just look at the reputations of the school.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll let you continue.
So yeah, you know what? Listen, I don't know. From what I understand, that's the Valley. We gun hillites, those who know what I'm talking about, GHP, that's right. We have beef with people from the Valley. So anybody who's repping schools from the Valley, we have problems with off the rip. So I'm like, yo, your school is garbage off the rip. It's Evander all the way. We gun hill, right? So
we were rated number 3 in the borough of the best.
What was Evander?
Evander was rated number 35.
glad it was not rated.
And you know, shout out to all my friends that went to Emmanuel Childs High School. Y'all good people, but the school was just terrible.
So did y'all have security and all that?
They had security bars on their windows.
No. I'm saying at Truman, did y'all have security?
Yeah, we had to go through the metal detector.
Oh, you had to go through the metal detector?
Yeah, but that's all we had to go through.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, we had to go through metal detectors.
And the barred windows. And the armed and the police officers, you know, parked outside every day.
We never had police officers parked outside.
Lies.
Security officers parked outside.
Anyway, let's get back to the topic.
Shout out to my school, Marital Child's High School, man. You know what I'm saying? Right there, 800 East Gun Hill Road. You know what I mean? All right. So, anyhow, back to the story at hand. So, I met this young lady, and what was the date that we met on?
February 10th, 2007.
Was it February 10th, for real? Mm-hmm. I know it was before Valentine's.
February 10th, 2007.
All right. Okay, so we met then, and I think I called you guys back and said, what are y'all doing later on, right?
I think you actually sent an email.
I sent an email? Mm-hmm. I don't remember that email. I don't remember that.
Yeah, he, once he did the whole meeting thing, he actually sent an email not too long afterwards.
Okay, what did the email say?
You sent some nice, inspirational, spiritual quote.
That's me. An inspirational quote, all right?
Yes.
All right. Now, I remember. Did we go out after that evening?
It wasn't that evening.
Wasn't that evening?
No.
Okay. All right. So we went out the following evening because I actually.
Well, there were a series of events that happened in like a 4-day span. So after the initial meet, he sent the email, and I think it was the next day you sent an email or you called. I can't remember exactly, about having lunch.
All right. So we didn't go to Goldfish yet.
No.
Okay, so this is the lunch.
This is the lunch.
You, Kathy, and myself.
No, me, you, Sandy, and I.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
So he sent, I can't remember if it was a call or an email. Sandy, if you remember, you can respond to this. But asking about lunch. So Sandy's like, hey, so you're going to go to lunch with him? And I was like, yeah, let's go. She was like, no, I think I should let you guys go to me. I said, I don't know him like that. You need to come along.
Yeah, she kind of ditched.
She was trying to be out. She was like, no, y'all need to go. I was like, I don't know him like that. Bronx or not, I don't know him like that. You need to come. I said, if you don't go, I'm not going.
And then
she came.
She went. Yes. Right. She came along for the ride. All right. And we all kind of talked or whatever have you. And I was by myself. Now, you know, they have their coalition of the ladies or whatever. I'm by myself, you know, swinging dolo. Because I didn't, matter of fact, to this day, I don't think I had a male friend at that place. I don't think I really had somebody that was tight with me to go to lunch or anything like that. So I was always by myself. So, you know, I'm by myself with, you know, Taisha and Sandy, and we're just all talking and stuff. And I think that was the day that I asked you, after we had left, go back to the office, I said, hey, you want to hang out later on?
Yes.
And that was the evening we hung out at Goldfish.
Yes. Okay. And you know what? That Goldfish is not there anymore.
It's not there anymore. And this is the Goldfish that was over there by
Perimeter Mall.
Mm-hmm. Correct. So we're talking and whatnot. We went to the Goldfish, and it was about like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we ended up closing Goldfish.
Actually, I think we went a little later maybe like 7. But we did close them down. They closed at midnight. We were there till midnight.
And we were just talking with
5 hours of really good, interesting conversation.
Yes. And then after when I separated, I told her to call me when she get home. You know, because I wanted to make sure that she got home. I'm a gentleman.
That's very gentleman-like of him.
That's right. So I wanted her to make sure. I wanted to make sure she got home, and she did call me. And I was kind of, you know, I was like, man, you know, this is, you know, she's a breath of fresh air, being that I found somebody from my neighborhood. Like in the Bronx, like that doesn't happen every day. And she knew the neighborhood. She knew the block, she knew the people, she knew everybody. So it kind of gave me this good vibes, I should say, real good vibes that she knew all my crew, because we actually had a was part of a gang in the back.
New Yorkers are good vibes just in general.
Just in general. Mm-hmm. But I was part of a gang, a posse back in the day, and those who know Gun Hill Posse,
yeah.
we were a tight crew. And she knew some of the folks that had died in that crew who was close to me, Jason and them, some of them. So we kind of clicked from that time on. Now, that was 2 days. I think the goldfish part was 2 days before Valentine's.
So we went to go fish on the 12th.
Yes, on the 12th. All right. And then at this time, I wasn't really dating anybody, but I'm going to put the word, I was messing around. Talking to another young lady that I had already kind of like, when we went our separate ways, but I called her about 3 weeks before I met you, and we were just getting back to talking and whatnot. And we weren't really doing anything. We were just talking and hanging out or whatever. And it was Valentine's night. I went out with her, and I just remember all I could think about was Taisha when I was with this young lady. And I was just like, this ain't good. I'm thinking about Taisha the whole time while I'm with this young lady. So the night didn't last long at all, because the lady that I was hanging out with at the time, we went to some restaurant bar thing, and she got up and started, I'm sitting at the table, and she got up and starts dancing, and she was doing this arm thing, and I was just like, what are you doing?
Wow.
And the good thing is that we came with separate cars. She met me where we both met up at the place. We had dinner. This was supposed to be the Valentine's Day thing, hanging out with her or whatever. And she gets up and she's like, "You're not gonna come and dance with me?" And I'm like, not like that. I don't think I really want to hang with you for the rest of the evening. So we ended up going our separate ways. I said to her goodbye, and that was pretty much it. I never went back and spoke to that person again. That was it. As I said goodbye to her, I got into my car. I drove all the way to Panera Bread. And I was sitting outside of Panera Bread, and I called Taisha. And I was like, it's probably like about 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it was about like 10.
10 o'clock at night. Yeah. Because I didn't want to be with the other lady at all, period. My whole Valentine's night thing with her was done when she started doing the arm jimmy thing. So I called Taisha, and I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she's like,
"I'm working."
Working. I said, why are you working, first of all, at 10 o'clock at night? Second of all, why are you working on Valentine's night? You should be out with someone, should have taken you out by now, right? Some guy should have picked you up or whatever have you. And you were like,
I turned him down. I got a couple of offers. Yeah. I was just like, nah.
She said, nah. She had it like that, y'all.
I didn't have it like that. I was in Georgia. I had just been there. I was in a relationship when I moved. I had been broken up for like 2 years at that point. So I was like, I did in that process met some really good people that I was close with, but the offers that I received were not the offers that I wanted to take. So I just didn't take them. I stayed home and I was working.
Mm. So I called her, and she didn't take my offer either.
Not at 10 o'clock at night.
She's a lady.
I am a lady.
So that was that portion of it. I figured, you know what? Well, I got to do something, different than what the other guys were doing. That they did not. They felt. I knew at 10 o'clock at night I was ready to go home anyway. I just wanted to call her.
Whatever.
It is. It's true. I just felt like calling you and telling you.
That was nice.
Yeah, because it was Valentine's night. I was like, you at least get somebody to talk to. And I told her she shouldn't be working for nobody at 10 o'clock at night. That means...
That's the truth. But I had work I needed to finish, so I was just like, this is the best time.
So obviously I was slacking on my work because that just showed her work ethic was a whole lot better than mine.
It's after hours.
It's all after hours, you know what I'm saying? So I went home that night and I was thinking about this new Taisha lady. And she had, let me tell you, so she had these cornrows. And she had these, let me say this. Back then, Alicia Keys was the thing, right? 2007,
Yeah,
2000, she was still a thing, and she used to wear cornrows. And I used to like Alicia Keys in cornrows. And I was like, man, this girl looks good. She looks better than Alicia Keys in cornrows. And I was like, man, I gotta, Taisha's very shapely. So just keep that in mind that, in my head, I'm like, man, I like this lady. Let me see how,
Let me see how I can bag her.
No, see, you was waiting for that. I was like, let me just see what I can do to make a difference in her life.
That's what it is. Make a difference.
All right. Now, what happened from there? Do you remember? Because we started going out on lunch, and I think the next lunch that we went out.
Okay, so he invited me to lunch again. So this is about 5 days afterwards, I think, that we had met. So we met on the 10th. Valentine's call happened on the 14th. I think it was the 15th. He asked to go to lunch again.
No, it had to be a little later than that.
Maybe it was a week after. So maybe like 7 to 10 days after. I don't remember exactly. But I started telling my friend Kathy, shout out to you, Casey, about this guy I met. So, of course, she's questioning me like, who is he? And, Kathy's my big sister, so I'm talking to her about stuff. She's like, well, I want to meet him. And so I'm like, all right. She said, so where we going? And I think we went to Fuddruckers.
Fuddruckers.
Yes.
That's right, Fuddruckers.
Yes. So
now this is the BC days, right? Okay.
Yeah, these were the days when we were eating chicken and stuff like that. Let's just say meat.
And drinking drinks.
And drinking drinks, yes. But at lunchtime, who drinks drinks at lunchtime? That dude. Anyway, so Kathy meets us at Fuddruckers because I think we rode together. Maybe.
No, you and Kathy rode together.
Yeah, maybe I picked her up. She picked me up. I don't remember exactly, but we met at Fuddruckers, and I introduced Larry to Kathy.
That's right, and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah, KC'sthebomb.com.
Right, but they're looking at me again. I'm rolling dolo. I'm by myself solo. Okay? I have no friends. I have no guy friends around me talking about, what's my next move. All my things I have to calculate on my own with prayer. Because you can't.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? You can't go by yourself without that. So I'm really calculating and going through the battles with these women because they're tough, career-minded ladies. They're looking at me like, what's this guy about? What can he bring to the table and all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
And I'm saying to myself, man, look, they don't know what I can bring to the table. I'm trying to find out what they got at the table. What they got at the table is what I'm trying to figure out. So, we go, I get through Kathy, and Kathy's mad cool. I like Kathy from that moment. Because she had that city vibe, although she's a Midwesterner, she had a city vibe about her. She had this popping attitude I kind of like. But all transparency out there, I came off a divorce, so I was more so I wasn't really looking for a relationship really, but I liked Taisha, and I was afraid to get myself involved in anything that's going to put me in a bad position because I also had my son. Mm-hmm. And at this moment, I did not allow my son to meet anyone that I did not think was going to be a long-lasting relationship, period. Right. So I had to make sure that if I'm talking to this young lady here, it's going to be something, it's going to have to be something long-lasting. So I'm going to have to see what she's all about. And at the same time, I'm going to tell her what I'm all about, because my last relationship was about honesty, and we just had some issues there. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put my whole life I'm gonna put my whole life out there.
And you know what? That's what I respected and appreciated about Larry, because we spent all those hours talking at Goldfish, and he was very honest about a lot of things. And you know, when you're dating somebody, you're trying to get to know them, you want to impress them. I didn't necessarily feel at the time he was trying to impress me, but I respected the fact that he can come out and he could lay out on the table his issues and what caused his divorce. And I thought that was very commendable of him. You know, did I like it? Not necessarily, but I respected the fact that he was honest.
And that's where I laid it out. I was just like, you know what? If she can hear this and we can be friends or whatever have you, cool, right? If she can hear this and she doesn't like it, and she moves on, cool. I had nothing to lose.
Right. There was no expectation.
There was no expectation. I was just being, you know, this is where I'm at. I got a child. I didn't want. There's no surprises here, because I don't want to come down the line in the future and be like, "What? You didn't tell me?" You know. So it was just bam. I'm putting all the stuff on the table. This is what I'm bringing, and you already know I got a job. Because we work at the same spot.
He did have a job, y'all.
So that was
J-O.
And we worked in the same spot, you know, pretty much in IT. You know, we were doing quite the same thing. We were both doing project management work. Mm-hmm. So we understood the field that we were in. And I was just like, yeah, you know what? This is just me. This is who I am. And from that point on, I think once we kind of like got past the Kathy deal, you know, she was living on her own. I remember.
Oh wait, I have to stop. So before you even go there, so over the course of the next couple of months, you know, before he gets to that point, I just want to say, Sandy moved back to New York.
She left us.
She left. And, you know, I kind of, you know, as I was thinking about it, as, you know, we started to move along in our relationship, you know, I really felt like God used her.
Yeah.
You know, maybe to get us together. I just want to say that. I mean, I know he puts things together, but he uses people too.
Yeah. And it was a good use, because, you know, Sandy knowing about my relationship with Christ, or just basically my religion, mm-hmm. and my denomination, she understood that because she was of the same. Yeah. She was a Seventh-day Adventist. So she understood, you know, exactly where I was coming from, and because of the same people that we the same circle of people, mm-hmm. that we knew in Brooklyn, I'm meeting a person who have the same circle of people that I know in the Bronx. So it was like the best of both worlds for me. The thing was, I was sad when she left, because she left like a couple weeks after.
It was
like a month.
Yeah, it wasn't very long, because I know she was studying. She was in school and she was studying to get some certifications and stuff to that sort. So she moved back.
Shout out to Hebron Seventh-day Adventist Church for all my Hebron folks out there. All right. So after, you know, got past all of the preliminaries, we started dating, and we liked to hanging out. The most thing that we like to do is travel with each other, and we liked that's something that we both had in common, about traveling and getting places. And we had a lot of fun because, you know, we knew, again, quite a lot of folks. Mm. And so my birthday comes along, and we take a trip to the mountains. Now, this was the all spark of all sparks, because this was what put the seed in our hearts to live in the mountains. Remember?
Yes.
Because we went to Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area.
For those who don't know where that is, in Tennessee.
It's in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And we got a lovely cabin.
Yes, we did.
And I'm gonna tell you something. It was beautiful. It was amazing.
And the views was spectacular.
Yes. So we really enjoyed Gatlinburg. And one of the things that we learned about Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg was the timeshare, the timeshare business. And we were being asked all over the place as we walked along the place to go to timeshares and this, that, and the third. So we ended up, realizing that immediately that they give you gifts just to go.
If you just go sit down for 90 minutes, you're going to get a gift.
You get a gift, and you get cash gifts.
Cash or trips.
Right. So I was like, well, we got 90 minutes to spare. Let's go. And we're not married or nothing like that.
Yeah.
But we just figured we can get the money and we can get the gifts. So we started really playing this thing really well. We were like, oh, what do you guys got? What do you guys got? What do you guys got? Right? So we did that. We had a lot of fun in Gatlinburg. And I believe that the time was coming for us to leave.
Yes.
And as we were packing the vehicle, we went to the gas station. And at the gas station, she said,
I thought we were already driving.
No. It was at the gas station we started driving to talk, but at the gas station. No, we were driving to the gas station. You're right. Driving to the gas station, you asked a question, a pivotal question that changed the trajectory of our relationship.
So I asked him, I said, how come we never talk about religion or your religion or things of that sort?
And I said,
he said, you not ready for what I have to say.
Point blank.
And I said, you don't know what I'm ready for. How you going to tell me what I'm ready for?
Touche. So she asked that question. And I was just like, well, yeah, you're not ready. Because, a lot of folks, when they ask those kind of questions and you give it to them, they just get real quiet and conversation is done.
Yeah.
But for the ride back home from Tennessee, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, back to Atlanta is about 4.5 hours.
Yes.
So it's a long, nice ride in the vehicle. And for 4.5 hours, the gospel was given to Taisha. Things that she never heard before in terms of the Sabbath and all of that.
Well, let's stop. I had previously
That's right.
been introduced to the Sabbath. A good friend of mine, Sabby, shout out to you, invited me to her church in the Bronx in the year 2000, I think. Needless to say, that I went to the church and that was it for then. That was it.
And then she gets to me and we're talking about the Sabbath and things of that nature. And and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what kicked it off for her was when she looked at Luke chapter 23 and verse 1 to 3, where it speaks about, I think it's Luke chapter 23, when it speaks about Mary Magdalene going to the tomb after the Sabbath on the first day of the week. And of course, we know the first day of the week is
Sunday. Yeah.
Right? So she was like, wait a minute, he died on Friday, he rested on the seventh day, and then he rose up again on the first day of the week. So why did we go to church on the first day of the week if the Bible then speaks about having the Sabbath on the seventh day of the week? So that's where we were really talking about. We really kind of hit up on that part.
And it was rough for me because although it was clicking, I was like in defense mode, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was for those of you who know Larry, like when he's excited about something, his voice elevates a little bit. So he was like in pure elevated voice. I mean, we weren't arguing, but I was like so
Overwhelmed.
It was very overwhelming. And I was like in defense mode because I think for him, he's like, all right, I'm telling you this, you know what it is. And I'm trying to process like all of this information. And I couldn't process it right away. But what I was hearing and what we were reading, and we had the Bible open, was making sense. It was making sense to me. It's just, I was over processing, I think.
It was a lot. That's the reason why when she asked the question, I was like, you're not ready for it because it's going to be a lot of information in 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like drinking from a water hose.
Yeah.
And, but I was surprised that she was like, I'm about to go ahead and research this for myself.
Yep.
And I was taken aback because, I'm like, man, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting for us to cruise along, just be boyfriend and girlfriend, and kind of like, fade out eventually. So that's how it happens.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really expecting that to happen in my mind. So I'm like, man, could this girl be for real? Because if she's asking questions like that, then maybe she could be for real. Now this, here's the thing. We started dating, and I think for my son's third birthday, you finally meet him, right?
Which was
January 30th.
Yes.
The
The following.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was the same year.
The same year.
But I met him after in like April.
April, you met him.
April or May.
That's right, you met him in April.
Yeah.
April, because we went to the zoo and it was warm outside.
Well, you went to the zoo and you invited me, and I met you there.
I invited her to the zoo with me because I took my son to the zoo, and you met him at the zoo for the first time.
And here's the thing, for years I worked with kids. I worked at the YMCA. Shout out to Vanderbilt YMCA. I worked with kids for many, many, many years. And so I loved kids. However, in a relationship situation, I'm single and had no kids and selfish pretty much. Like, everything is like really about me. Like I want everything to be about me. And so, I was going through the motions, but did not want to discount Larry because he was a good guy. Like I was really enjoying his company, and, I was really enjoying the conversations we were having. So, I figured, let's see how that goes.
Yeah. So once she got that 4-hour gospel explosion.
That's exactly
gospel explosion. I didn't think much of it. I just thought that she asked a question and we, she got the answer, and that was pretty much it. I wasn't expecting anything extra to come out of it because in my head, I wasn't really living a lifestyle of the gospel at the time either. So it's not like I was being a good example to her. I think what God did.
But so can I say something about that? And he's right. I mean, we both, I was going to church on Sundays, at that time.
Which church were you going to?
Mason Betha. Yeah, I was going to Mason Betha's church. And so I would go to, we'd be hanging out, partying or whatever, and he'd get up, he'd go, he'd call and be like, I'll talk to you later. I'm on my way to church on Saturday.
Yep.
And then, I'm talking to him on Sunday morning, like, hey, I'm going to church too. So that's kind of like where that all kind of sparked off, right? Because, he wasn't living, and I wasn't even thinking about it because at that time, I thought you could go to church and still party and still drink and still do all of these things. That's just what people do. That was my thought. That's just what we do.
Yeah. And for me, it wasn't really like that. I was trying to, get back to living a right life, a righteous life. It was just, I was in this really, spiral. And a lot of it, had to do, of course, with my situation that I had just come out of. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of like, I went downhill, hit rock bottom, but I was like, you know what? I got to get up and pick myself up. By God's grace, I will get there. But I think what God did, he realized that I needed that, and he sent Taisha to put in my life, because it was really Taisha that was really creating the spark for me to get back to the God that I know, right? And every time that there was always a question or something that he would put on her heart that she would relate to me, that would go, I should be saying that, or I should be doing that, because I'm really this person that's supposed to know better, and I put that in quote, know better, but everybody has their, time where they fall or whatever have you. I just thought that, it was always God that had put her in a position to get me back on the right track. So when she asked that question, it put me in a position like, oh snap, she wants to learn. I need to go back and study because, I know, well studying the Bible, but there's always things that I need to learn. I need to dig deeper. So I went back and I started studying, and I'm at church more often now. Now, the thing about being at church was that, I'm a single guy, and
Ladies love Larry.
I'm a single guy, and
The ladies.
there are a lot of ladies who are looking at the church because women, the church it's like a vacuum. They go there with their vacuum cleaner to see how many men they can suck up.
Wow. Is that what that is?
I mean, men do it too, but there are more women than men at the church, right? And women are looking for husbands. So there were, a couple or a few ladies at the church at the time that was
checking you out.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
all ages.
Come on now, don't do that.
All ages that are above legal age.
all the legal ages.
Yes, all legal ages. Take a guess. That age group was included.
What age were we talking about, babe?
Anywhere from 21 to 70. Carry on. Anyhow,
so yeah, there were a lot of, I would just put it like this, there were a lot of upset women when Taisha comes to church. I invited her to church one Sabbath, and she comes to the church, and of course, everybody's kind of giving her the side eye, like, who is this girl? Why would he bring this girl over here? And I think, was there like a 70-year-old lady a 65 or 70-year-old lady that approached you and was not happy the fact that you were there?
I don't know. To be honest with you, the first couple of times, honestly, is a blur because I didn't get the warmest reception, although there were a few ladies that were nice to me, cordial. I won't name names, but if they ever asked, I could, be like, yeah, it was you. Because I remember who they were. But yeah, I didn't really get the warmest reception. And honestly, for me, I'm just visiting the church. Like, I have no ties. I don't know anybody. And so I'm like antsy. I'm like, yo, when is this going to be over? Because I'm getting the side eye. And, my mind wasn't really right to be there. And honestly, the next day I was going to be at Mason Bethel Church. So it was just, he invited me. I was like, all right, let me come. At that point, it wasn't really serious for me, per se. I mean, I asked the questions and, I'm sporadically, researching.
Right. So that's where I was just kind of like, you know what? It's not going all that well when I invited her to the church. She then told me she might not come back. And I was just like, okay. I kind of like, because I'm not going to force nobody to come to church with me. Mm-hmm. The thing about it was that, I'm getting this heat on one side, and I like this young lady on the other side. And every time I go to my church, I just felt like, man, there was a bunch of ladies that just,
it was laying it on thick.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be around. I liked the lady. I loved them. They were like family to me. Not that I wanted to date any one of them, but they were like family to me. So, I kind of just kept them as friends. And but I really wanted to have something more special with Taisha at the time. And,
that's so sweet.
And I kind of felt bad when she said she may not want to come back, but I just left it alone because I didn't want to pressure. I didn't want to put no pressure on Taisha at all. So I think from there it just kind of went on to more. What's the word I'm looking for? More dating, things of that nature. And then we had an opportunity now to go back to where it all began. It began in the Bronx. And we went to the Bronx for your cousin's baby shower.
Yes.
And that's where it was like, it kind of it was surreal to me because here it is that in the same neighborhood We probably ran past each other multiple times. At the time, she was into these coolie dudes, dudes with the curly hair, nice eyes, whatever have you. Dudes that was probably like 5'8", you know what I'm saying, her height, whatever.
I'm much shorter than that. Thank you very much. I'm shorter than
that. I said you was into dudes that like 5'8".
Oh, yeah. I was, that was my preference at the time. 5'8", 5'9",
Yeah.
I wasn't really dating tall dudes.
Right. And I'm a tall dude, so, for me, maybe she just, just didn't, see me at that time. At the time, I wasn't doing nice things. So it wouldn't have been a good idea for her to meet me at the time when I was living in the Bronx.
I don't think we would have gotten along or even liked each other at that point. Yeah.
Nah. No. Actually, we would have because, I was a swooner.
We wouldn't have got along because I would have read right through you.
I was a swooner, man. You know what a swooner man is?
Player from the Himalaya.
Anyway, so I'm outside and I'm looking around. It was so surreal because I'm like, man, I'm dating this girl from this neighborhood who I never really met in this neighborhood. How did this happen that we did not meet in this neighborhood as small as the neighborhood is? Mm-hmm. And we know a lot of people from the same blocks and this, that, and the third, from Rochambeau, DeKalb, Knox Place, all of them. We know a lot of folks, and it was like how we did not meet up there. It was baffling to me. So we were at the shower, and we really had a good time at the shower. Mm-hmm. And we come back to Atlanta, and then the same family that had the shower had invited us to their wedding in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic.
Yes, my cousin got married in Punta Cana. Shout out to Karima.
And Corey. All right, so we out there. We ended up going to DR, and I think, man, a lot of things cemented for us in DR. We were just really tight, and we were getting tighter and tighter, and it didn't matter what was thrown at us at the time because we were really just into each other. And so we enjoyed DR in August, and that same year,
September.
That was September?
Yes.
Oh, so
they got married in September.
They did?
Yes, they did.
Who got married in August?
Your cousin Keith.
Right. So they got married in September of 08.
Yes.
No, 07.
07.
07. Now, this is the timeline. Because they got married in 07 of September.
Keith got married in August of 08.
Right.
Yes.
Your birthday was 07, August 12th.
And I turned 30.
Big 3-0. And you had this big old party.
At my mom's, yes.
Right. And she invited, this is the first time I'm meeting all the family.
Yes.
Her mom just moved down like in July.
Yeah, and June,
July.
Yeah,
right?
July.
So I never met her mom until that time because she had left me sometime in June to go to your mom's
her retirement
party, right? And then her mom moves down to Atlanta, down to Fairburn, Georgia, and she meets me for the first time. And I think
he meeting all the cousins now. They all came for my birthday.
I met your mom first.
Yes, he met my mom first, and then my sister came. My sisters, and then
And so I started meeting them and whatnot, and they started calling me Larry Lee. And
what they would call. What was funny is they thought his name was Lawrence, and Larry was short for it. They're like, so what? So Lawrence, how's it? And I'm like, Lawrence, is his name Lawrence or is it Larry? Did they call him Larry for short? And I'm like, you know what? I don't even know. I'm like, I don't even know what it's for. I mean, I knew his name was Larry, but I didn't know if it was short for Lawrence at that time, which is crazy.
Yeah, it was just Larry. Folks on the block call me Larry Love. Remember the song?
Larry.
So they used to call me Larry Love. So it was, so I just told him it was just Larry. But my middle name is Lee, so, her mom, it just stuck like, bad spaghetti on the wall. She would just be Larry Lee. And that's it. So since then to this point now, she still calls me Larry Lee.
Yep. She got that. If she could trademark that name for her, she would.
She would. And so she just called me Larry Lee. So we met the family then. So I brought her to my family now. Now, for those of you, my family, we have crazy folks in my family. And, God rest my dad's soul. Brother Roland Nicholas. That's my dad. God rest
Bad.
his soul. So I brought it to my mom's and I brought it to my parents' house. And Taisha was, what did you have on, baby?
So, you know, this is
This is BC.
yeah, I mean, you know, I had my earrings on.
Before Christ.
Yeah. So I had my earrings on, all my jewelry on. I think, I don't know, I had on the tank. I don't know. I was just all nice and accessoried
Right.
that day.
Your assets was on your assets.
Yeah, I was, you know, everything was there.
Right.
And you bring me into the house. I don't remember like if your mom came to the door or if I came inside the house.
I came inside the house because this was the house with the green.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I think I was sitting, or she had a bench or something there. And I sat there. He was like, "Mom, come. I want you to meet somebody." And I'm sitting there, and I don't have any nerves because, again,
we never put that.
There was really like, I mean, there wasn't a label per se.
We never put a label on what we were doing.
And you know, I'm who I am. So for me, it's just kind of like, you know, you got to take me for what I am because that's just what it is. But your mom came out. She says, "Nice to meet you." You know, mom was very nice. Shout out to you, mom. I love you. And so Larry's then, you know, my father-in-law came out.
Great father.
And he was like, "Hi, what's your name?" And he shook my hand. Everybody understands this. If you know him, you knew the handshake he would give you. Like your whole arm is going. I mean, it don't matter.
Shake your hand like a man.
Yeah. Male, female, you getting that handshake. And so, you know, he's the pleasantries are there. And then he says, "Let me ask you a question." I was like, "Sure. What's your question?" He says, "Who's your God?" So I was like, "Uh-huh." He said, "Who's your God?" And I think I said, "God." He said, No. What's his name? So, you know, I don't know. I was confused because I thought God was his name. So I repeated it. I was like, "God." He said, "No." I said, "No." He says, "Jesus is your God." I said, "Okay, Jesus." And see, so he's talking to me about this, and I'm like, "Where's Larry? Where were you?"
I took off with my mom.
He just left me. He left me.
So listen here. So this was the thing, you know, if you as a person can tolerate my parents. My mom has a very
Mom's approach was a little different.
Her approach is very slick and different. Well, my dad is abrasive. My father's approach was very abrasive, and it didn't matter who you were. Mm-hmm. He asked you the same question in your face: "Who's your God?"
Yep.
Right, and you have to answer that question with like preciseness and with confidence. Yep. You know, if you're not confident and you start to to teeter around, and then he's gonna give you a straight Bible study, and then like, you know, that person's foolishness.
I think Larry set me up. He could have like warned me.
There was no warning.
I was straight set up, y'all.
There was no warning. So my mom's the way she does things is that her hair will always be out, and she like, "Oh, so come do my hair for me now. Come do my hair." Now, my mom really don't need nobody to do her hair.
She can do her hair very nicely.
What she's looking at is to see what kind of person she actually will be. Will she humble herself and do her hair? Now, Taisha went and said, "Oh, what you like me to do?" And all my mom did was put a big smile. You know? So from that point on, I kind of knew right there, she can hang with my parents. She can hang with them because those two will drive people out the house real quick. Real quick. And that's how they sift out the other people in my life. That's the reason why it was two things with my son. I can't bring nobody around my son. And the other part was my parents. If you can't hang with them, you ain't going to make it. You're not going to make it at all. So she met my family. Then I meet her family at her party. I had to get the tables and the chairs, and you know, it was a lot. I remember I had to go collect all the chairs and stuff.
Yeah, he was setting up stuff.
Big old tent and all this other stuff. And so I met the crazy cousins now.
My cousins are not crazy.
Okay, this is when I met Adele. She was all trying to figure me out, asking me all these what she thought was hard questions. But the thing about it is, they didn't know I was witty, and they didn't know I had this, like, you know, this comedic side, and I would just come right back at them the way that they came at me. So it was kind of, we had this great banter going on the whole time, and I just remember the situation with David's dad, or Mr. David, where that morning that he woke up and my man went to the back of the house, the back door, opened the door, and the alarm just went off. And my man went outside like nothing ever happened. And cracked about a cigarette and then cursed at the same time while the alarm was going on. Had no care. So that's what I remember. I think that was the funniest part of that whole time. But then I met her cousins. You know, I met Shawnee and Odell and, you know, the rest of the family. So it was kind of cool because we all clicked at that time. And then the following month we went to DR. And then I think that's what cemented us as a pair. Now, we still were not putting a label on it. I remember I used to have this. He
used to play this song
by what's his name? What's his name?
Start with an R.
No, not Rasheed. Not Rashid. It was Bilal.
Okay.
By Bilal. And it was basically, you know, the song was basically talking about not putting a label on our relationship, period. Because I just felt that if we put a label on a relationship, then it wasn't genuine. It was like, now we got to be boyfriend and girlfriend and stuff like that. It just wasn't genuine. So that was all of 2007.
That's true, because when we would introduce each other to people, it was just like, hey, this is Taisha, or hey, this was Larry. It was never like, hey, this is my boyfriend, this is my girlfriend. We never did that.
No, we never did that. And if you listen to our first episode, we never said that we were falling in love with each other.
Yeah, that's it.
So we
Facts.
So what we did do, though, we just spent amounts of time. And Taisha, I believe you lost your job in September at IHG. Because I remember our first argument, our first blow up was when she didn't have her job and you was in your car and you was driving somewhere and I was at work.
Maybe. I don't remember that. But yeah, you might be right.
Because when you lost it, I was still there.
Yeah. Was it September or was it
October? Maybe September. October.
Yeah.
And then I took her to cheer her up. We went to Savannah.
Oh, yes.
I took it to Savannah.
I think it was October.
It had to be October?
Yeah.
Sometime in October? No, it was still warm because we went to the beach. That's when I was on the beach and I was way out there swimming.
Yeah, October was warm.
It was still warm in October? Yeah. Okay, it was beach weather in October. Okay. Anyhow, she enjoyed herself in... I
had a good time in Savannah doing things.
All right. It was nice. That's so... We come out of that and we ended up going through the winter time. I mean, I remember we had a big blow up about where the relationship was going eventually, because of course we're not putting the label on it, but she wants to know where the relationship is going.
Yeah, because I'm like, this is a lot. I had been in my previous relationship for 6 years, and I'm like, 6 years is a long time to go nowhere. So what are we doing?
Right. And again, I was still at this mode of like, I just felt like this relationship was all fuchsia related. And I'm going to tell you what that means. That means I'm in a space where everything is just too perfect, right? And, I don't know what the red flags are yet. And I'm looking for the red flags, because if I see a red flag, I'm out, baby. I'm skipping town. But then I'm also the guy that don't skip town. I am the guy that faces up my challenges. And if there's a challenge, I'm going to face it. So I had this war going on inside of me, because I didn't want to have the second issue that I had with the first, my divorce. So I wanted to make sure that if this is real, this is real. So I remember her telling me about, that we are in a relationship, boyfriend and girlfriend, this and the third, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, look, as long as we are not married, we're just where we are. You know, remember that conversation?
We were at dinner, actually, and I asked him the question, and he pretty much told me, I ain't ready to settle down. I ain't ready to do any of these things. And what he didn't know about me yet, because, we're like a year, maybe.
No, we're coming to that year.
Yeah, we're coming into a year of
End of 07.
being in this situationship. That's the word everybody's using now, right? Situationship. And so for me, I'm asking, like, where are we going? And he pretty much flat out told me that he wasn't ready to do, to commit or anything like that. And what he didn't realize about me is that when you say things like that to me, I get it. Like, you don't have to, make it pretty, draw flowers on it, make it smell good. Like, when you can be straight and direct, I actually appreciate that. And so once he said that, my whole focus changed. I'm like, all right, well, he's not really, he don't really want to, commit or whatever. That's cool. Let me start putting my focus other places.
And I realized that. I sure did. But I had a plan in my head. So this is that dinner happened in 08. We started talking.
It's like January-ish.
Yeah, January-ish of 08. And we started talking. I had a plan in my head already. So it was more of like, I really want to ask her, pop a question to her, like, hey, would you want to, think about like a long-term relationship? But I also wanted to talk to her mom, and I didn't have a chance to do so. So I had these things going on in my mind. I just wasn't expressing that to her. So what happened was, after that conversation, we had several other conversations. And I remember one conversation, I was sitting outside at the time, it was of a Kroger, and she lived in Fairburn, Georgia. I lived in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And I was sitting outside of the Kroger parking lot, and we had this long conversation. I remember saying to her that, look, as long as we don't have signed documents that says that we are married, we're still single. We are still single. Remember that conversation? Mm-hmm. We're still single, and
one of several.
Yeah, we went back and forth with each other about this thing, and I'm really like putting her through the wire, because in my mind, I still want I want a real relationship with her, right? But I don't want to just label it and be like, yo, we just walking through this pathway. I really want to get into something that makes sense, right? Oh, at this point, you had already moved to, you got the place,
the townhouse, yeah, in Stone Mountain,
Georgia.
Yeah, Stone Mountain.
Yeah, that's why I was in the parking lot, because you was actually in Stone Mountain. And we were at the Kroger right there on Harrison Park in Harrison. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was at the Kroger at Harrison. You was at home, and we were on the phone talking. And I just remember that we were at a space where it was like rocky. What we're gonna do, where we're gonna make it. But then you was also taking Bible studies at the time with.
I think at that time, this was early 2008.
Yeah, it's like January 2008.
So I had already so I stopped going to Mason Beth's church, and I started going to his church, but it was still awkward. Like, I was still getting the eyeballs. I was still I was very discouraged, because the only support, I think, system I had at that time was the Bible workers and Pastor Reed. And so, because I was taking the Bible studies to prepare.
Lisa and Patrick were there. Lisa was there.
Well, what I mean by that is, I met people at the church, but I didn't really have friends at the church. Like, I knew people because they were coming to the Bible study groups, because they were also going through Bible studies. I was preparing for baptism at this point, and so I was just going through the motions, but I wasn't still comfortable at the church. So
yeah, she wasn't comfortable at the church, but she was taking the Bible study. She was working with the Bible workers at the time, and and there was a lot of things going on in relationship wise with us. And I remember the one time, this was like February of that time, just before you got baptized.
Yeah.
Remember I told you guys how she would say something, like the Holy Spirit would put something on her heart that would shake me up. and get me. I guess God was trying to work through her to get to me. And he would always find the right time and always find the right things that she needed to say. So one time she came to me and she was like, we need to talk. And she said to me that we don't have to do any more of our relations that we were having because we were.
Let me explain that story because I actually like telling this story. So because we were BC, and of course we were just doing the wrong things, and the Holy Spirit was pricking me like, you need to stop doing these things that married people do. So I was at the point very serious. I said, you know what? Come over. So he came over and I said, I want to talk to you. And he's like, well, what do you want to talk about? And I was like, listen, we need to stop doing these things that married people do. And I'm cool if you leave right now out the door. Like, I'll be sad, but I'll be okay because it ain't going to happen no more.
Put the brakes on. I was just like, conjunction function. Because I reached to the point of the T-bone or the fork in the road. I realized that, I can walk out that door and continue doing the foolishness and meet somebody else and continue doing foolishness.
Yes.
That married people do. Or I can stay with this young lady who is now finding her path with Christ, which I need to be doing as well. And I was like, wow. I said to her immediately, I was like, well, I ain't going nowhere. We can stop. We ain't gonna be doing no more, I don't see nothing wrong with the little B and grind, right? Little bump and grind. We can stop doing that. And she was like, you sure? You sure this is what you want? Because none of that's happening anymore.
Yep.
I found Jesus.
Facts.
And I was just like, wow. She found Jesus. I need to go find Jesus too. So that's where the relationship started taking another turn. Because every time God was just turning up the knob on us, and he was like, I see what you guys are doing. I still love you guys, and I want you guys to know that I will make something great out of you. And we just couldn't see, we couldn't tell, but we knew that if we obeyed, then that would be the case. And we obeyed. We're like, all right, you know what? It's done. And for that whole time that we were together, we never did that again.
It was a year.
Yeah. So that was 2008. Yeah. 2008, she gets baptized in March.
March of 2008.
And I knew right then and there that I had to make her my wife. So I told her one time, I said, I never told her that I fallen in love, or I just said, you need to be what?
Loved.
You need to be loved.
He was trying to player move.
Oh.
He couldn't run them games on me. Like,
man.
Game recognizes game.
Man, I'm saying that's what you call, that's a Himalayan lines right there. So we started talking, and in my mind now, I know what I have to do, but I'm not telling her nothing because I wanted to get her mom's blessing before I asked her any questions. Because I didn't want her to call her mom and say, hey, I'm going, and my mom would be like, but I didn't know about this, right? So I went to her mom in like April of 2008, and her mom and I had a long conversation on the couch. And, her mom was really cool. She says, I believe in you. I see the kind of person that you are, and I said, I really want to marry your daughter. And she's like, well, wish her dad was around for you can ask her dad. But I'm glad you asked me, that you had the respect to come and ask me. And once she gave me the blessing, I knew that the next few months I had to play some kind of cards right because we were still rocky and bumpy. I still have my bumpy, rocky cousin with me. And he then decided he didn't want to be with me anymore. He wants to go meet his brother in Michigan to be with my cousin who was getting married. Now, I'm the MC at my cousin's wedding, Keith and Camille, and his brother him and his brother were both groomsmen in his wedding. So from there, I remember my cousin was saying, hey, I'm going to leave from Michigan. I'm going to go back home to Minnesota. So we were like, okay, well, we just all drive up to Michigan. Now, here's the plan. I remember there was a movie that I watched way back in the day called Mo Money, Mo Money, Mo Money, right? And Stacey Dash and Damon Wayans were the main characters of that film. Now, in my mind, I did not have a ring because in 2008, I had gotten laid off from my job that we both were. She went back to work for IHG. I then got laid off from IHG, so I don't have no job. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to ask this woman to marry me. So I didn't have a ring, but I had a ring box. Gotta get creative sometimes, man. So my cousin's wedding was in Michigan. The rehearsal dinner was on Saturday night. So Saturday evening was the rehearsal dinner, Saturday evening, Saturday night. So we end up going.
Before you go there, were you going to invite me to the wedding?
To my cousin's wedding? Yeah, why would I talk? I wasn't going to invite you? There's a story I missed a piece. Do you know something I don't know?
I was just asking. I don't think you invited me to the wedding.
No, I did.
Oh.
What you mean?
I mean, I know I went to the wedding, but I don't remember how I got there.
No, well, we all went because we had to take Mikey up. We drove up to Michigan.
Okay.
For Mikey to meet his brother.
Okay.
So we were all going. I was the MC. And I asked you to come with me because you're gonna meet like another side of my family.
Okay.
Right? You're gonna meet
Sorry, I don't know where my mind went with there.
And Carolyn and all of them. You're gonna meet the whole gamut. So this was like the test. This was test number 3 for Taisha. Now, I know what I have in my mind. Now, what needs to cement this was her meeting Carolyn, Marsha, Hafsa, and Thuela. Because these girls were pivotal in my life. We were always tight with each other. We were brothers and sisters, and we were all family in the Bronx. So when I never told him about Ty, so now I'm bringing Taisha up, and I think the one person I did tell about Ty was Carolyn. So she knew about her, and Phil knew about her because those two were my go-to people at the time. So I'm bringing her up to Michigan. And I remember when I pulled up to the church in the car, they were all like, oh, looking in the car like, what's up, like, oh, okay. So they were all waiting to meet this young lady. And I remember when we all came to my uncle's house, everybody was there.
Yes.
And they started doing what?
Man, I went downstairs. So they invited me. So Carolyn and Marsha, was Marsha there? I think all the old ladies were there. So they invited me. They were like, come downstairs, come talk with us downstairs. And I'm like, okay. And I went.
And they started asking.
They were just asking me stuff, but like I said, it was all good.
It was all good. I mean, they're just protecting their brother.
They just, I mean, they was doing what they were supposed to be doing.
Right. So once they came out, and I remember Carolyn was like, thumbs up on that young girl right there. I like her. Carolyn was like, she was good. And I was like, as long as Carolyn is good, Carolyn and I have a really good relationship. She knows, and she's always straight up with me, no matter what. Carolyn has always been straight up with me, so love her for that. So the rehearsal dinner takes place. We all go out, we do the rehearsal stuff, blah, blah, blah. So we had some time in between, right? I take my wife out to into St. Joseph.
Well,
Michigan.
His then girlfriend.
My then girlfriend.
We had a label then, yeah. I think I was labeled at that point, I guess.
So I take her over to St. Joseph. I take her to the beach, to Lake Michigan. And we're walking on the beach. And I mean, it was beautiful. It was a Sabbath evening. The sun was setting. It was at that point where it's just about at the cusp of the water, and the wind was blowing lovely, the waves are crashing into the sand, and you can hear the sound, you know, of the birds and the seagulls, you know, kind of flying over and they're squealing and stuff like that. And it was a lovely setting. And she had this wonderful sundressy thing going on. So the wind was kind of blowing the sundress, and it was nice. It was really nice.
And my hair was
and
blowing.
My hair was blowing in the wind and all that kind of stuff. It was really good. I liked it. It was fantastic. So, you know, as we were walking and talking, I can't remember what happened after that. All I remember was that I remember the movie, More Money, More Money, More Money. He opened a box with it was empty, and then he had the ring come down the string, right? But I didn't have a string, nor do I have a ring. So I have an empty box. But I said, you know what? Bump that, man.
I guess that was a test for me too.
We're gonna do this. If she says yes, then you know the world could be out. We have sky's the limit. So I get down on my knees, and she was looking at me like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I ain't tying my laces." I opened up the green box. It's like, listen, I don't got a ring to give you right now, but if you choose, what I said to you, I said something like, I know I said I don't have a ring to give you.
No, it was so. I think I was walking ahead of him. It was like really windy. It was like a really it was windy, but it was like cool. It wasn't
nice.
hot.
It was nice.
And I think I started walking ahead of him, and I turned around. You were already on the ground. He was already on the ground with this ring box that's open and empty. Right. So I'm like, then I think I was like, what are you doing?
I said, I don't got a ring. But, you know, if you accept my hand in marriage, then, you know, the ring will come second. The ring will come later. But this is going to be big. And we're going to do some great things. Would you marry me? And next thing I know, she actually said yeah. And I'm not going to lie to you. The angels were, and the sound of the waves was getting louder. I mean, I thought I heard heaven's gates opening. I thought I heard the songs happening there. I was just actually ecstatic. She said yes. Now, the thing about it is, I had already kind of laid the ground, you know, the back work with mom and getting everybody, and, you know, getting everybody to a point where they're going to realize I'm going to marry this girl. But she just didn't know it. It was a full surprise for her. Because by the time you made phone calls to everybody else, that you was like...
Yeah, I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I got engaged. She's like, oh, congratulations. Yeah, I knew about that. I'm like, what you mean you knew about that? She's like, yeah, you know, Larry came and he spoke to me. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. So I had all these things going on in the background, but I knew I had to eventually get her the ring. But until that's another subject for another time. Mm-hmm. So we end up leaving and going back to, and you know, she tells Carol and everybody, and everybody's like, oh, everybody's excited or whatever have you. And it was a great wedding because it did not take over what Keith and Camille was doing. Yeah. Because it happened on our own time, and we just went to celebrate with a small group. But Keith and Camille had a great wedding. Shout out to them. Mm-hmm. In 08. So 07 was Kareem and Corey. Mm-hmm. 08 was Keith and Camille. And then immediately after I asked her to get married, she went into this whole project management, you know, wedding planning mode that same day. She got her sister involved, like, boom, you got this, blah, 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 blah.
Well, okay, so we chose a date. You know, you got to choose a date before you can get into planning mode. So we agreed on a date. And once we agreed on the date, that is when I called my sister in Bermuda. I'm like, hey, I got a date. So I love my sister. She went into taskmaster mode. Some people, they're like taskmaster. She was my wedding planner / taskmaster. She was doing everything from Bermuda. And I appreciate that. It took a lot of stress off of me from that. And like Larry said, I started to work again at IHG. I went back to work there. So they also did a big wedding shower for us. Like, I got gift card. I mean, they were so wonderful to us. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, we got a date. So May 24th of 2009 was the date we chose, and that's 10 days after his birthday. So May is a great month.
2 days after my mom's birthday.
Right, because May is a great month because my mother-in-law's birthday's in May, his birthday's in May, and our anniversary's in May. So we typically celebrate. He always has his personal day for his birthday. We try not to, but we're celebrating all the month of May.
The whole month of May. So we now are in this planning mode. I have no job.
Yeah.
I am jobless. Now, you know, the thing about it is, I think a lot of, because I was stressed during that time.
Yeah, he was
thoroughly stressed.
Planning a wedding, you know, of course, when you're planning a wedding, you got to pay for stuff. And he was stressed.
I was stressed.
But I don't think, do you think I applied pressure on you?
No, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't, we had a really good going with the whole, you know, planning of the wedding. I think that it did help me not think about the work part at some times. But then it got to me when I'm like, I can't be getting married. I can't support my family. I can't do this. I can't do that. And God was like, no, I'm going to put y'all to the test. You're going to do this. Because I said you guys are going to do great things. If you trust me, you will see how you will do great things. So I just remember, you know, looking for work, trusting God, looking for work, trusting God. Anyway, we went on and had a wonderful...
We had a beautiful wedding. Our families came. We had a wonderful time.
Had a wonderful honeymoon.
We had a great honeymoon.
Yes. Yes. And all of this without me having a job.
Yes. God provides, y'all.
Okay, no job. I'm still jobless.
God provides.
So this is 2008, 2009, a whole year, no work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And it gets better because our first challenge that God gave us was that my wife went back to ISG, but then she quit.
2010.
In January of 2010.
February.
February of 2010.
Yes.
And both of us, I still ain't got no job. From 2008 to 2010, 2 years now, no work. She quits. Now.
But wait, let's go backtrack. So I didn't just quit because I'm a married woman now. So I have to discuss these things with my husband, okay? And at that time, they did a reorg and where I was placed wasn't a good fit for me. Right. And I came home and I said, honey.
Now you called me.
I called you. Oh, yeah.
I was at Lowe's or Home Depot.
I was like, honey, I want to quit.
Yep.
And he's like, you know, why? And I just told him, you know, the things that were transpiring. And see, if you notice from our second episode, right, we talked about advice and stuff like that, you know, in situations. But I asked him then, I did ask him in that moment. I'm like, hey, babe, you know, I want to quit my job. This is what's going on. What do you think I should do? He's like, well, if that ain't working out,
quit.
I was like,
you're going to be all right.
I was like, man.
And she quit.
He ain't working, and I quit.
Each other.
We jobless.
Both are looking for work.
In a big old townhouse.
And we got this townhouse. We got bills. Billz.
Capital.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like, you know what? It's going to be all right. I mean, and you know what? Man, that same year, 2010, June of 2010, my friend Anton then tells me
he's getting married.
And he wants me to MC the wedding.
In Jamaica.
All right. We ain't got no money.
We ain't working. But we got some tickets to Jamaica round trip on Spirit for $40. You will never ever see that again in your life.
God says y'all going to enjoy yourself. You see, this is how it is. God said, listen, if you trust me,
amen.
You see how you will still be happy with nothing. And we ain't got a dime to share. We both making this unemployment money, right? So the tickets were $40 round trip.
Yo, I don't know how I caught that.
For me, I'm gonna tell you, to do the situation.
Okay,
that's how it happened.
Yeah,
we'll do this some other time.
Okay,
but it was $80 for both. For the it was $80 round trip.
Yeah,
and I was like, man, we jumping on that right now. because I remember that it was expensive, and I was, she's looking at, because we really want to do this thing.
Yeah, and I think Spirit at that time was just coming up. They wasn't like even really like big like that.
And we really want to do this thing for Anton. We want to be there for both of them, Anton and his fiance. And it was like, man, you know what? We looked the night before, and it was like $250 or something, like $260 per person. We don't got that kind of money. So I said, babe, you know what? If we try again some time. The next day it was $40. The next night it was $40. I said, hold up. If don't do nothing yet. If we look tomorrow and it's still $40,
we'll buy it.
We'll buy it. The next day came, it was still $40. We're like, all right, we
bought that joint.
We got that joint. We went to Jamaica for 2 weeks.
We were there 10 days. And we were thankful because we didn't have to pay for anywhere to stay.
Yeah.
We didn't have to. I mean, we had little monies to go eat. And, we asked Anton, like, how much money do we need to take to Jamaica? Like, how can we for 2 weeks? He was like, you just need $300 US. I was like, that's it?
Because the conversion rate was crazy.
So we bought the tickets in what month was that?
Yeah, their wedding's in July.
Yeah. So we bought the tickets like
it was a couple of days before their wedding.
No.
Yeah, it was like in late June.
Yeah. It wasn't. Yeah, I thought it was like a little sooner, but yeah, we bought those tickets, and we got $300. We actually got $300, exact $300, and we went to Jamaica.
And this is 2010, and my cousin moves to Atlanta in 2010. JB moved. John moves to Atlanta. And I just remember it was he started hanging out with us. He started staying with us, right? And again, we got no job. And my wife now takes a trip.
So we ain't got no jobs.
She takes vacation.
But food was always on the table.
Always on the table.
The lights were on. I don't know how, but I don't want to say I know how. I know how. And then we have another person living with us, aside from Elliot when we have him.
Right, and the thing about it what's so crazy about that time is that we were on the foreclosure version. We were on the verge of foreclosure.
Yeah, well, you know what? I thank God too for provisioning, but I thank God for good money management. When I was younger in my life, I didn't really have good money management. But as I got older and got through college and got through grad school, I really started to have really good money management. So, even though we were going through that rough patch with the house, because my credit was good, there were a lot of offers that they were offering to me to help us to keep the house. And my realtor at the time, shout out to Joel, he was trying his best to get us a short sale or something like that, so we wouldn't have to, foreclose on the house. But anyway, we it's three of us in the house, and we trying to find work, and
at this point, I ended up you went on vacation.
So I went, so we had a girls trip. So every milestone my mom's have. So pretty much every 5 years of her life, we're celebrating her, right? So we started to do these girls trips, and we took a girls trip to Phoenix, Arizona, and we stayed in Camelback. And I was gone 7 days? And in that 7 days, we went to the Grand Canyon and Nevada, Vegas. And here we are traveling around, oh God.
Yeah, during that time, I had an interview with Verizon Wireless, and they hired me immediately. And I was so ecstatic. I was so excited. I called my wife while she was in Phoenix, and I was like, babe, I got a job. I mean, 2 years.
Yeah.
2 long years, and God was really looking to see how we were going to react to. I mean, there were some hard days. There were some days that we were almost in tears. There was days that we were like, man, we just got married, and this can rock a marriage.
Yeah.
This can break up and shake up a marriage. But all the preparation of what God was doing before we got married was showing that He was building up our characters. So when we get into the situation, He knew exactly how we would react to it. And we were rock solid in trusting in God. We had absolutely no fear, but fear itself. We didn't know what tomorrow was like.
Yeah.
We just kept on pushing and pushing and pushing. And God opened up the door. That's why we say now we can look at each other and go, you know what? God brought us through.
Yes.
He brought us through at our early stage. There's nothing that he can't do for us now. He will always do for us if we just trust him. So we have that behind us as a waymark to go back to the early stages of our marriage and see what God has done for us, because God has done, and he said it. He says, I will do great things for you. I remember that. So he's always been doing that. Today, we've been married how long now?
So 2024 will be 15 years.
15 years. Wow. And this is where it all started. It all started at a cafeteria or at a lounge with a young lady named Sandy Jourdain and a Seventh-day Adventist lady who decided, hey, I got somebody that you wanted to meet, that you need to meet.
And she used to always say to me, because, I was, young, and she'd be like, you need to stop dealing with all these guys you be having. And I'm like, I don't have a lot of guys. But she would say to me, you need to, it's time for you to settle down in your life. She used to say that to me a lot.
And now we are truly settled, and God has blessed us beyond our imagination. God has blessed us beyond where we are today.
Yes.
We would not be here if it wasn't because of our trust in God. And we have so many other stories that we can tell, as a couple, the things that we've dealt with. But we wanted to share the story with you guys because we believe that by our testimony, it helps give others strength.
Right.
And if you're in a marriage where, finances are rocky or whatever the case may be, you just got to be able to, both of you have to come to the point where we trust the Lord and that we trust each other and that we're not going to put pressure on each other. Let things, you know what? I always go by this monarch now, this too shall pass. It will pass. You just have to give it a chance to pass and stop putting your arms and hands and feet and legs in it because God wants to see how he builds your character through those trials. So to God be the glory.
Yes.
I love my wife every day more than the day before because you know why? I realize that God has given me the best person for me.
Amen.
Like for me, that nobody else would have worked out, And I thought about it, man, you know what? Nope, it wouldn't have worked out because he put that person that can, really deal with my emotional foolishness, my craziness, and, she can smell my stuff and take both of them.
Yeah.
So I love this woman right here.
Yes. No, I think we've come a long way.
Very long.
We've come a long way, and I praise God for that. So thank you guys. If you really enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, and yes. The like button is easy to press. Hit that thumbs up. Bing! And also, there's a little bell right there. When the subscribe thing comes up, hit the bell too, notification, so that way you can get all of our other episodes once we upload them. And oh, by the way, tell others to subscribe too.
Yes.
If you share, you care.
If you share, you care. Thanks you guys for watching. We'll see you soon.
Peace out, y'all.
Peace.